there's not usually anything particularly low there that we need to pay attention to. Alrighty, let's run with that for now. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're doing well. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Let me see who's here already, because that's a lot of chat. It's kind of unusual that I have to scroll up this far up, at least for me. I guess not in the last few days, because you guys are just active and awesome. Let's see. Greetings to you, Gropply. Greetings to you, Azinity. Greetings to you, Xcodes. Blessed Dragoon, Ghost Eye, Ruff, Chaos Kitty, Ayagara, Sultano, Yagabot, hello. Who else is here? Lethlin, Alenarai, the Gaming Cat. Ryok, good morning to you as well, or something like that. Danny the Pooh, Quadlight, Darkest Phoenix. Who else? I hope I didn't miss anyone who is here already. Alright, and we finally hit the button. Aquila 3, Takarian, and Sir Donkalat. Welcome, guys. And also, welcome to all the lurkers and the ones that are just kind of in the background. I hope you are doing well. So. Oops, I need to move my keyboard somehow, where it is not going to be too much in the way, but I can still reach it. Alrighty. So, to give you, ladies and gentlemen, a brief introduction as to what is this one-player, two-controller thing, and why do you do this, why in Seeker of Mana, and how does that even get onto the list? So, in short, Seeker of Mana, the most established speedrun category, or more specifically the one with the most runners, is with one player, two controllers, and I forgot to set up my second controller apparently, and I need to do this real quick. Either way, the most established speedrun category is one player, two controller. What that means is, well, we just use two controllers. So we don't use two controllers at all times. Like when we just run around through areas, often you will just see only one character active. Secret of Mana can be played with two characters active at any given point. So right now, if I press the start button on the second controller, get away with that keyboard, please. There we go. If I press the start button on the second controller, that means the boy is now being controlled by the boy. And I have a particular setup. For some reason, Seeker of Mana allows you to set the control scheme to be upside down, kind of like, well, this. And what that essentially does, the buttons still do the same. However, the D-pad here is now upside down. That's the only thing it changes. And it's actually kind of convenient. I press down, I press right, I press left, I press up. You get the idea. That allows me to get decent control over two characters at the same time. So, currently I'm the only one who uses that setup. However, from what I know, currently someone else is learning this run. I believe it's Seal, and looking into doing a similar setup, potentially to using, well, two characters at the same time. Alright, let's talk about things. Why do we use two characters at the same time? First of all, in some areas I tend to walk with two characters at the same time because that just makes it more consistent, quicker, etc. However, that is not the main reason. The main reason why one player two controller ended up being a thing is because someone called Luigi Meister at some point just started speedrunning this game. And how did he do that? Well, he just speedran this by using two controllers, since two controllers allows you to do various interesting things. Among other things, it allows me to open up the menu while the boy still has a charge up. Normally, I can't open the menu with the boy now because I'm holding the B button down here on the first controller. On the second controller, I can now open up the menu and do stuff, and specifically, I can swap out weapons. And now on the bottom left you see the boy's charge bar is completely freaking out. What essentially happens right there is that the boy's charge bar is filling up. Every 2 frames, he gains 1 additional charge level. You know how long it takes to just level or charge up to level 4? Let's see real quick. We start now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And now we are finally at charge level 4, so it takes about 2 seconds per charge. But instead, we switch to a weapon that the boy specifically has only leveled up to level 1, or at least lower, as the sword's maximum charge level. And boom, the game freaks out. And then, when I close the... excuse me, when I open the menu again with the second controller, you can see at the bottom left, there's a little charge bar there. And specific times on this little charge bar in the bottom left, next to the boy's portrait, just kind of, well, yeah, next to the boy's portrait, there's certain things that I can tell. So, I don't know exactly this charge attack, but let's see. This one here should be just a regular swing with the boy's weapon. So what I'm doing is I'm releasing the B button here with the boy and repressing it as soon as I close the menu with the second controller. So what that does for me is I immediately can start charging up again with the boy here. With the same charge level that I had. This also works with regular charge levels, like you saw how long it took to charge up to level 4. Let me demonstrate this again to you. And also Blood, thank you. Greetings to you, sir. Welcome. Thank you so much for 15 rounds in a row support. Welcome back. I'm glad you enjoy your stay. Thank you so much. Either way, you can see currently charge level 4. I do the same concept. I just open up the menu of the lady, release the charge button afterwards, and then immediately press it while the menu is closing with the second controller. Now the boy unleashed his charge attack. It deals charge attack damage, but he's immediately charging up at level 4 again. Like, I can just retain that charge attack. And that is an incredibly neat technique in conjunction with being able to, well, just straight up do overcharge attacks, as we call them, because we attack with a charge attack like level 70, 80, something along those lines, and essentially just deal insane amount of damage. So this one here, I actually notice is the level 8 charge attack, which is a forward flying sword. Or, well, in the case of the spear, it's a forward lunge with stabs at the end. It's worth noting that even though the boy does that many stabs, he, well, will only hit a single enemy once. But there's that. Also, this is just kind of the main technique you use in 1-player 2 controller speedruns. You don't use any magic for offensive damage purposes, generally speaking, unless it's a little bit for backup, but that's just at the very beginning. Generally, if all goes well, you only ever use magic in order to lock bosses into animations. For example, during the buffier vampire fights, I am going to attempt to use slowdown on the bosses in order to just lock them into place. Just kind of slow down, and boom, they are not going to do anything anymore for a while. And then the boy can hit them, I cast slowdown again, then the boy can hit again, and the vampire essentially just can't do much, if I time it right, which is kind of tricky. So let's see, greetings to you Vintage Look and T-Potion, welcome guys. Well, greetings to you Pygon, hope you guys are doing well. And thank you for all the good luck guys, greetings to you Keelis, welcome to you as well, thank you. So, either way, this is the basic technique, and what you will see during the rest of the run, I just briefly open and close the menu. Our main weapon of power here is a spear. Open and close the menu, open and close the menu, and I can just deal 999 damage, which is the maximum damage you can do in one swing to every boss, minus whatever defense they have afterwards. Like on some bosses you will see 999 damage because they have 0 defense, but some bosses have like 100 defense, so you only deal 899 damage or something like that, you get the idea. Alrighty, and that is the basic concept of 1-player 2 controller. Most other runners, by the way, if you intend to run Seeker of Mana, this is probably the most friendly category currently that we have. You don't have to invert your second controller, you can just put the second controller in your lap and operate it with one hand, because technically all you have to do is press start and press the menu button and move a little bit over to the side to switch out the weapon, and that's it. The way I'm holding them is just kind of the way I figured out is reasonably comfortable but also pretty efficient, so I can also move the second controller around and use it for more than just those basic purposes. Alrighty, did I miss anything? Also naturally, this run here is going to be with words. This run is going to be with glitches. However, there is one glitch that we don't do in most of the categories, even if they use glitches, and that is arbitrary scripts execution. If you would like to know more about that, just watch the run on speedrun.com by OrphanVIP. The gist of it is, we tricked the game into letting us select a option menu with 0 options, which means we can select up to 255 options, and then we scroll through the entire game script and just call the ending event. It's kind of tricky, but you can technically do pretty much anything with that. Alrighty, and I said I wanted to practice some things. But right now I'm actually not entirely sure how to do that, because I don't have save states for that. But this one should actually have... This one should be just in front of the mana fortress, right? So there is one thing in particular I want to practice here. Have I played the first mana game on stream yet? No, I have never played Final Fantasy Adventure, or Silent Zetsu 1 for that matter. I would like to play Sword of Mana on stream sometime. Not entirely sure when or how to do that, but sometime. Alrighty, so first of all, normally I will not have any form of armor, so I take a ton of damage from those late game enemies and I need to just completely avoid them. Second of all, the lady is not usually the one who wields the sword, it will be the sprite, so let me just set this up right now. Also, I did set it up backwards again. Alrighty, I'm going to practice here something, and that something is, I will want to go ahead and run through the wall. That's it. I will want to use technically barrels for that, but we'll see. So the basic concept is I need to enter this thing here with a particular timing. I messed up probably. Okay, I messed up. So what is supposed to spawn up there is the blue guys, the tsunamis. And if I just kind of go here, just wait in front of the bottles, wait a little bit, then we dash up, the tsunami should spawn, if I do this right. It's kind of weird and finicky, I don't exactly know what influences it. Which is Sword of Mana? Sword of Mana is a Game Boy Advance game, basically a reimagining of Final Fantasy Adventure for the Game Boy. Basically, it's a reimagining of the first Secret of Mana game. Too slow. So yeah, this is why a part of it why I practice this, I guess. There we go. This should work. Alright. Now I need to quickly set up the boy to use or run through the wall. So this is actually not particularly much faster, which is why I need to have this with very clean execution. And then we... No, I should have used the barrel. The lady run through the wall. Position the boy in a way where I will be able to... Not overcharging. Oh. Right. The weapon charge would be immediate, basically. Then I would switch out twice. Switch the sprite over to the boomerang. Immediately have the boy release the boomerang. He shoots it way further than usual, hits the rope wall on the other side and we get the sprite across. The boy immediately switches over to the sword, wait for the lady to recover. Optimally we use barrels for this, if we still have barrels. And then we continue running on. So this is the basic concept of this here. That's one thing. What else? There was something else I wanted to practice. Oh yeah, I wanted to practice the Minoru skip. How do I do this? How do I do this? Also I need to make sure that my hand cam here is in the middle, preferably. Let me see real quick, ladies and gentlemen. Pause. Pause this one here. No, actually, I should have SNES 9X. Save states. But SNES 9X isn't all that great for practice because it lacks a fair bit more. But we can work with it, I think. Please don't mind the little things at the top. I'm just using this for practice. Let's see. What are the current save states? Okay, the current save state set is around here. So by the way, if you ever intend to learn speedruns, I highly recommend you do save state practice. So, Ice Palace before Fire Palace, before Fire Palace. Excellent. Alrighty, here we go. So, oh, wait, do we have this backwards? Oh, it's backwards on the configuration. Apologize for the weird sound. Might be I'm just configuring the controller differently real quick because I have it the other way around right now. Up, left, down, down, right, B, A, Y, X, start select LR. Alrighty. So this means I want to have the second controller maybe upside down real quick here. Just resetting this room briefly. So what I want to practice is running through the Minoros area. I need to have the lady in the lead overall. I don't know whether I have barrels in order to do this on this save state. I have one. Huh. That's awkward. Alright, we are just using a macro strategy. The setup is not terribly difficult anyways. I'm just going to do this easier for me. Where I'm going to balloon. Oops. So have the lady switch out the weapon. Eventually anyways, as soon as her animation finishes. Then I want the lady also to cast balloon on the other guy because I cannot mess that up. Level 6 doesn't work and I have kind of lost where I am right now. This could work. Or this works. So the basic concept is now that I want the boy to fly up the ramp. This is a backup strategy. This is kind of slow. But the basic concept is I want to get up this ramp because this skips a certain trigger in the Fire Palace, which ultimately allows us to skip the Ice Palace later. So I just kind of want to have that same type of setup, essentially. So what I'm doing here is I'm just repeatedly using charge attacks in order to bring the AI control cactus up the ramp. Normally the ramp just pushes you down continuously and it's impossible to walk up, but for some reason AI control cactus just managed to run up the ramp, just straight up run, when you use a charge attack and fly upwards. I have no idea why that is, but it works, so we use it as a... Well, that used to be the old strategy, but now we have a parallel power slide, which makes that significantly easier, and even makes it viable for one player, one controller, which that skip used to be a ginormous pain in execution, because what you needed to do was just incredibly convoluted. Alrighty, then we have this one here. I select the second controller here again, real quick. Have the sprite immediately cast a random spell, have the boy run up to the thing, interrupt the sprite spell by hitting the rope pull that is just on the side, and the lady can, as a consequence, just end up running through the wall. Alrighty, so here we are. Greetings to you, Angel Valleys. Welcome. How are you doing? Oh. Enjoy your breakfast, Zuckerblue. Thank you for dropping by. Let's see. Now, what I need to do essentially is I want the sprites to immediately, as soon as we run into this room here, start casting Undine Freeze. Then, the weird thing about this is, what I want to do... No, that's not the timing. I want to basically enter this room here with a specific timing after the second freeze hits the pedestal stick. This is why I want to practice this. This is the new trick that saves about a minute and skips Minoras entirely. So, here, I want the sprite to immediately cast Undine a second time. I start walking as soon as the torches go out, and boom, there we go. We can just straight up run through the room, ignoring the Minoras entirely, and we seal the Mana Seed, no problem. You have the flu. No. I hope you get healthy soon. My brain combined, I hope you're not sick anymore soon, and I hope you get so healthy soon. In the wrong way. Hope you get healthy soon. You're sleepy. I hope you can get some good rest. How am I? I am actually doing surprisingly well for how little sleep I got. Like, I got a total of 4 plus 1 plus 1 hour sleep. So I might be tired towards the end, but right now I'm wide awake and ready to go. Taking another save state here just for making this more convenient. So, I just want to do this like 5 times in a row without failing. The reason why I start the boy up there is essentially a setup. Which allows me to move around here freely. And what this does, by the way, it skips this trigger, which normally walks us into the arena, closes off the door, and starts the boss fight. But essentially we carry over the... You hit a orb event with another event. So... you enter the arena and it's overwritten by us just casting the thing twice. Boom. Alrighty. Once again, this time I'm actually going to enter the room from here, from the previous room. Because that is kind of what the setup is going to really be. So, have the lady run onto the switch, have the sprite start casting, immediately cast again. And there we go. By the way, the Minoras does not have a hitbox or a wall box or a box in general where you can just straight up walk through him. So, do this. And this should always be the exact same timing. And works out pretty consistently. Alrighty, that's all I wanted to practice. Let us go back to the better emulator that doesn't have as much lag, but still has lag. Actually, by the way, if you want to run this, emulator is a perfectly fine choice. We do accept that on the leaderboards. However, do keep in mind that you do actually lose about a few seconds actually, because it is just quicker on console. So if you can, you want to play in console. Alrighty, I think we are about ready here. Are we dropping frames? Yes, we are dropping a lot of frames. 2518 so far. Sorry about that. Yeah, the thing is, currently my connection to Twitch seems to be really wonky. Like, just... Actually, in general, my internet connection. Just opening up Discord seems to be really weird. Like, I tried to send a message, and it took about 10 seconds until it sent it finally. So yeah, alrighty. Also, ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to vote for the next run, what we should be doing, or what we could be doing, feel free to just go with the straw poll. That should be currently somewhere in the chat. Exclamation mark straw poll. If it isn't, it isn't actually. And essentially, how this basically works, ladies and gentlemen, is if we don't unlock any special challenge for the next day, we'll just use the straw poll voter challenge that anyone can vote on. So no special challenge has been unlocked, although the next special challenge is kind of far away. I hope to hit one more over the course of the entire Gauntlet, but we do have a fair bit more time for that, so that's nice. Alrighty, now my straw poll thingy just kind of doesn't open anymore. Oh well. Oh, now it works. It's so weird. Oh well, let's get this started, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to do... Let's see what's going to be. Alrighty, so this is where series runs kind of start happening, which means only one character or letter per character name, because otherwise I do end up losing a fair bit of time if I name a character any longer, so I may let you choose for the successive or the later attempts for as to what we're going to be doing, but for now we are just going to roll with the Y. Let's get this going in 3, 2, 1, let's move. Is Twitch having issues? I think it's more the connection around here is having issues. For me personally anyways. Also, I just realized I need to actually have my OBS in sight for once. Because I'm using a controller cam. Alrighty, so what we are going to be doing here is we just run through the game using the minimal resources possible. Which means there's actually the concept of not buying equipment in the desert for the afterwards frost country, but we've tried that a few times and it ends up just kind of being too slow. Because if you get hit once, you get knocked down to the floor, which loses you about a second or two. And if that happens 3 or 4 times, you already lose almost more in time than it would save to not buy and equip that armor. Thank you for the good luck. Is Twitch having issues too? That's unfortunate. So essentially we want to advance text as quick as possible, which means I should actually be a little bit more involved with my mashing game here. Also, I won't need that second controller for a while, so let me just move that a little bit so it's not in the way. Since, well, for a while we only have one character, specifically until we beat the second boss, where the sprite will finally join us. And unlike previous runs, so most of the runs in the challenge gauntlet we've done so far were glitchless. This one here is not going to be glitchless. I'm going to be using an array of glitches that allow me to just get through the game really quickly. And one of the best things about this game and running it with glitches is really that all the glitches just work so well in conjunction with each other. Like, you have an overcharge glitch to deal a ton of damage with weapons. You can initiate that in 2 ways. You can either have the second controller swap out the weapon, or you can also do this with one controller and have an AI controller charge up to level 2 and then tell him to only charge up to level 1. Then you can retain that charge attack. With one controller you can retain it once maximum. That's rather difficult. With 2, however, it is really easy to do, and the execution overall, as in what exactly you need to do, is rather simple. So what I need to do now is I need to kill rabbits. My main goal is to level up this weapon, which means it needs to be level 1 before a certain point, and level 2 before another point. So what I'm doing here... Oh, nice crit. That is really lucky, actually. Critical hit rate at this early in the stage in the game is actually really low. So getting a crit to one-shot those is really nice. Trying to just kind of eke out as much time as I can by killing low-level enemies, weak enemies, because it doesn't matter how strong the enemy is. As long as I kill them, I get the same amount of weapon experience. So that's why you try to kill quite a few rabbits along the way early on. And we just killed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 rabbits. Hey, that's one more than usual. I usually try to aim between 7 and 9. But usually it ends up being 7 or 8 on a good run. And you try to naturally just kind of go as fast as possible. So the tricky thing is to just kind of keep your run through the areas in the game. In a lot of areas you will see me do a little bit strange movement, but diagonals actually are strictly faster than a straight movement, in theory. Because you move 1 pixel up and 1 pixel right at the same time, or you just only move 1 pixel up. It's the same amount of distance covered in a specific direction compared to 2 directions. So diagonal movement is technically preferable. Also, if I just wiggle in order to go, let's say I go up and I just press up left, up right, up left, up right, up left, up right. It's going to be the exact same time invested, essentially. So this guy here, I try to hit him as quick as I can. And not losing any time really on the first boss with having 9 rabbit kills is really good. So obviously could always get a little bit better, slightly better execution, but let's see how far we can get. You always felt sorry for the low HP rabbits. They run away and cover their eyes. They do. They do, actually. They don't attack you anymore. Actually, they attack you once more and then run away. Poor little guys. But unfortunately, there's not much we can do about that. Also, by the way, Crow has gotten a new record in glitchless, which is actually now below 3 hours and 50 minutes, which is pretty crazy, which is awesome. Speaking of which, I do not want to go and pick up the gold chest at the bottom. There's another glitch that allows us to get a ton of money early on without any real investment, so we naturally just kind of do that instead. Great to see you, Multic. Welcome. How are you doing? So the interesting thing is, even though those are going to be record attempts... Oh, rip frames. Come back, frames! Frames, come back. I'm sorry, there's not much I can do about that. I missed. That's unfortunate. That's okay though. Killing this guy instead to level up the sword. And this guy is not supposed to spawn at all. This is a 6-second time loss or so for no good reason. Normally when the mushroom spawns, and for some reason this time the mushroom didn't spawn, I should have realized it. That flower just is not there, generally speaking. So that was a bit strange. So, my sword is now level 1. I will get a spear during this cutscene here, a second weapon, and I will want to level it up to level 1 as well. And later on I will level up the sword to level 2, and that's all I need. I will do that same overcharge technique that you have seen me just kind of explain and do before we started this run. And that's all we need for the rest of the game, at least, hopefully. Sometimes it can be a little bit wonky, and you can back up with some spells on the early bosses. On later bosses that just doesn't work anymore, because you never practice the spell powered, you are really low level, you never invest into the sprite's magic damage at all, and well, bosses just don't take damage from it. So one thing that actually took us a really long time to figure out is that we can't just hold the B button here in order to select a specific option. If we want to just select the first option, just hold the B button. This is actually something that we figured out surprisingly late. Like, we've been running this game for about 2 or 3 years. And eventually, I was just looking, wait, can I just hold the B button when I started to try and create a tool-assisted speedrun for this game for a while? And that's when I figured it out. Wait a second, I can just hold the button. That is really convenient. Also here, I am going to go ahead and save. And then we reset real quick. Because this skips about 2 or 3 text boxes from Luca, and it also allows us to reach the exit slightly faster, which is really nice. Good evening, Flare Star. Welcome. How are you doing? So, now I need to level up the spear, and the way we do this is the same concept of before. I want to kill weak enemies, preferably, because those allow me to kill them quickly. That is 3. This is going to be 4, hope low damage roll, nice. Wait here a little bit until the number disappears. This manipulates both of those enemies here to spawn. Push the flower over there to the rabbit for him to spawn. Wait a little bit here in order for this rabbit to spawn. And we now already have, I believe, 7 kills total for the weapon. We just need 4 more in order to level up the spear to level 1. Oh, the multi-tab. Oh yeah, I should have explained that before I started round 2. Yeah, multi-tab is a thing in this game, but I'm not using it. This is a multi-tab. Unfortunately, it doesn't work on emulator at all. Like, the emulator just doesn't recognize it. So there's no way to use that properly on emulator at all, essentially. Also, give me a second. I'm going to trick Nico into letting me sell him his own items for 30,000 gold. The way I do this is, I'm first off going to buy candy, I'm going to buy chocolate. Then I look at the candy and say, you know what? I look at the chocolates, you know what? This is no good in my inventory. Then I sell both the chocolate and the candy back, because why not? Then I go into the buy menu. This sets up the menu that I'm going to be selling him from now. Scroll over to the rabbit cap, because that is the last inventory slot now in my inventory. And now we have a ton of items in our inventory. Yeah, a ton of gold, and we just buy 2 of each item specifically. Because we use another glitch later, which reduces the amount of items we have in our inventory by 2. And that allows me to essentially have 0 cups of wishes in my inventory, for example, and 0 medical herbs, etc. But because they are still in my inventory and selectable, they will just underflow, and we have a total of 7 afterwards. After I use 1, that means I have a total of 8 uses of each of the items in my inventory. The way I'm going to be doing this is I'm going to be buying additional pieces of equipment, equip them, and then throw them away while standing in a specific spot on the screen. That's just unfortunate. That's 8-second time loss, there's nothing you can do about that. Also, he attacks you a little bit, but it should not usually be a problem about losing too much HP, unless you get hit by goblins, which you should get hit by. Emphasis on shouldn't, but sometimes it's kind of difficult to not get destroyed by them. So I'll try to explain the multi-tab as soon as I'm through this section here, because this does require a little bit of focus. Also here, this is the strategy where you want to just hit him and run past instead of doing the waiting game on the right side, because we want to go fast here today. So, spear leveled up this time. Unlike the glitchless categories, we do want to level up the spear to level 1. That is intentional. Let's just run past, and I'm dead. Yep, alright. Reset. That's okay. And Agony, thank you so much for subscribing for 9 drops in a row. Twitch baby hype. Thank you so much, Agony. Welcome back. Well, I'm glad you enjoy your stay. Agrees to you, Silas. Welcome. I hope you're doing well as well. Alrighty, let me demonstrate real quick. Actually, I can't demonstrate this on BizHawk. BizHawk actually cannot even emulate multi-tap. However, SNES NX can, so let me demonstrate this real quick on SNES NX, what a multi-tap can do. Just loading save states here. Do I have a good save state? Not here. Let me run to the town real quick and then I can demonstrate something to you. Alright, I have the second controller active. Come on, guys. Stop dawdling around, you're going to get killed that way. That's just silly. Alrighty, let me demonstrate to you what multi-tap does for us. And essentially also, to an extent, I'm just going to explain, I'm not going to show it, but as to why it is a separate category. So, I'm going to activate the multi-tap, which is an option in the menu, so there's actually not even a hotkey for this in order to do that in SNES and NX either. Even though I can emulate it, there's no button for that. What I'm also going to be doing is I'm going to enable the secondary controller. Start button is Y. That's fine. Alrighty. Now I have a third character. Do you see the symbol is a 3 there? Active. And I can walk around. This is with multi-tap enabled, so you can have up to 3 characters simultaneously running around in this area. So now we have all 3 characters controlled manually, which is actually really awesome. However, basically Nintendo has the policy, or had the policy, that a game that uses the multi-tap functionality, it needs to continue functioning. If you unplug or reset, or just kind of no longer have the multi-tap connected or disabled, there is actually a button for this on the multi-tap here. You can enable or disable it by switching that slider. And if I just switch that slider and disable the multi-tap, it will basically automatically reassign that character to being AI controlled, just kind of like the sprite is right now. It will still show this 3 in the portrait of the lady's corner, but she will be reassigned. So I'm now talking with this guy with the third controller. So normally you can't walk around much because you're kind of stuck, you can't move with the third controller either, unless what I'm doing now is I'm basically disabling the multi-tap. And boom, the lady is AI controlled again, and I can walk around during this text box. I can still remove the text box by using L and R without any trouble. I can't move into any doors because that's disabled. And essentially, this is what you can do to an extent with multi-tap shenanigans. So, there is the underground palace, where essentially, as soon as you get Flammy, you can go to the sunken continent, and if you enter the doorway there, you are enabled to go in there, but immediately runs you back outside with the text box, hey, we can't pass through here yet, or some force pushes us out. I don't know what the text box said. Either way, there's a text box outside. You essentially do this with walking inside with the third controller, then it lets you run around with that text box active. And there's another glitch where you can make your characters to be invisible. While you have invisible characters, you can walk through walls while any event is active, and that includes text boxes. So you can't do that technique with just one player 2 controller because you won't reach the out of bounds area in the sunken continent, but you can reach it with a multi-tap disable. And so you can actually enter the Grand Palace early. For a long time that was not particularly useful because you couldn't go through the Grand Palace forwards without having all the summon spirits, but recently-ish I did figure out a way. The way to do that is while you have an invisible character, you kill an enemy, hope he drops a chest, which is a 1 in 16 chance, and while opening the chest with an invisible character in the party, you can actually still walk through the wall again. And with that, you are enabled to walk through that one wall we could not figure out a way to get through, and you can run through the Grand Palace the normal way, more or less the normal way. The thing is, that is kind of an obnoxious thing to do, a 1 in 16 chance about 1.5 hours into the run. So, yeah, no, thank you. But it lets you skip about 5 or 6 minutes of gameplay. But essentially, this is just one reason as to why we ended up splitting up the multi-tap and no multi-tap category. The other reason, essentially, is because it is an additional peripheral. Like, you just need a multi-tap in order to make this work. You can have this only on console, so it's kind of even tricky to practice. By the way, multi-tap is really convenient because you use the third controller instead of the second one, so every time you want to disable the second controller, you just disable multi-tap and enable it again, and boom, it is done, even during screen transitions and cutscenes, which is really nice, because sometimes, under certain circumstances, you can't manually disable the second controller, because I don't know why. For example, if you get out of Gaia's novel, if you try to disable your second controller, you can't do that for about 10-15 seconds. I have no idea why. You have to disable it before you leave there. So yeah, that's that. Good morning to you, Danny Mobo. Welcome. As buggy as this game can be, what kind of issues or benefits does that pose on the run, if any? The multi-tap? Or... Sorry, I'm just kind of going on and on, not reading chat in between. Would you mind elaborating on the question? Good to see you, Don, when you're welcome. So yeah, that's the explanation as to why we have a split category between multi-tap and no multi-tap, even though the category or the run is essentially the same before and after that little skip. It is just a split category. Because, well, it's just... This speedrun here overall is so nice, with a decent amount of randomness, but everything seems like you can control it. Like, if you play well, instead of losing 10 seconds, you lose only 4. And if you play well, you can gain 10 seconds instead of just 4 if you not play so well. It's just kind of always that back and forth if you are playing decently well. With a few exceptions, like the vampire or Buffy, if they decide to just fly around in the air for an extended period of time, then that's just bad luck and you lose time because of it. But at least it's not a 1 in 16 chance to get the chest drop. Greetings to you, Skimax, welcome. Thank you, very good luck. Oh yeah, another reason is, if you play this game on Virtual Console for a Wii, you actually don't even have an option to disable the multi-tap, and even if you want to. Like, it just straight up doesn't give you that option. The third controller is always enabled. So, someone who plays on Virtual Console, which is a perfectly legitimate option, would not be able to do the same type of run with multi-tap. Or Emulator, for that matter. Emulator also can't run that. Also, by the way, my with multi-tap run is only about 30 seconds faster than the no multi-tap run. Excuse me. And I said it was a 5 or 6 minutes time save in the Grand Palace. I've done one run where I felt like I played really well before and after the Grand Palace skip with multi-tap, and it just took me about 4 or 5 minutes until I ended up getting that chest. And I was still faster than going without multi-tap, the standard route. And greetings to you, Harmsy. Welcome. I hope you're doing well. Real quick question, Ruff. Could you do me a favor? In the document for the Secret Money Gauntlet. If you're around, that is. Multi-tap category sounds a bit obnoxious to run. It's actually really nice for the most part, because being able to disable a second controller during screen transition by just flipping the switch back and forth, that is actually essentially a super nice quality of life change. It's just that one part is really irritating, obnoxious as you say. So, could you, instead of having total amount of votes, because I feel like that number doesn't really do anything there below the special challenges, could you instead have the amount, how much it is until the next special challenge unlocks? Just kind of make it equal to the other cell on the right side that also displays that somehow. That would be nice. So I think this is only 6 rapids total. Let me actually count real quick. 1, 2, 3... Yeah, this is only 6 rapids total, which means I need 4 more enemies in order to level up the sword to level 1. Thank you very much, appreciate that. I just felt like that total amount of votes, it would make sense if it also at the same time reflected as to how much we raised essentially since the last special challenge unlock. But that it doesn't. And so it just kind of is a little bit pointless there. Thank you very much, appreciate that. Yeah, the thing is, heavy RNG segment that late is just like... Alright, if it was a 50-50, it would be okay, I dare to say. However, because it is essentially a 1 in 16 chance to get the chest drop from the first enemy, and there's only 2 enemies that you can reasonably kill, and in order to kill them you have to do an overcharge attack, which is already a decently long setup for each one of them. Okay, that was really slow actually. Contemplating resetting, but I feel like I could use the practice. So the reason why I say contemplating resetting is I still need to kill 4 enemies instead of just 1 in order to level up the weapon. This is slow for having only killed that many rabbits earlier. But at the same time, if I just keep resetting early, I'm never going to get runs done, so I'd rather just keep continuing on. For now anyways. Alrighty, I just remember having a lot of issues with the game as a kid. Freezing or randomly resetting when playing with multiplayer is stun-locked to death. Yeah, stun-locked to death is definitely an issue where, well, you can get stun-locked. And if you have the entire party just getting stun-locked to death, especially early on, that's just it. That is a little bit of an issue. The better you get at the game, the less of an issue it is, generally speaking. But it definitely is a bit of a problem to an extent. But we do have strategies for most of those rooms as long as we execute correctly and the enemies cooperate a little bit. However, the random freezes and resets that you are pointing out when playing with multi-controller, that is an issue, yes. So this game has a pretty extreme reaction. Hang on. To spawn those guys. Only one? Also low damage rolls galore. That's no fun. This game has a pretty extreme reaction to having two characters with, two active controllers specifically, walk into... I did not mean to spawn you, buddy. I wanted to spawn the rabbit. Either way, this game has a pretty extreme reaction to you walking into a cutscene trigger with two characters at the same time. It crashes. It just boom. Straight up crash. So that can definitely be an issue, like you walk through a doorway and then you just hold up with both controllers. Because up there's a cutscene and you know you just need to walk up until you reach that. And the game crashes because you both walk into the cutscene trigger at the exact same time, since you started at the exact same point already both holding up or something like that. That is definitely a problem for multiplayer and co-op. So if you watch the RPG Limit Break run that me, Stinger PA and Bowie did at RPG Limit Break that we did at RPG Limit Break, the Secret of Mana co-op run that we did at RPG Limit Break, you will see that in various instances, I and Bowie, we just stay behind. We just wait until Stinger triggers the cutscene. We run up to it, but we don't actually trigger the cutscene. We just stay behind. We try to not run into those kind of triggers at the same time, because that just crashes the game. So yeah, that's a thing. And that happens on all versions of the game. On all of them. At least you haven't played the Japanese version, I would assume, because, well, the Japanese version has an even worse problem overall, because in the Japanese version, when you defeat the boss, and the character that had the menu open last needs to be player controlled, otherwise you softlock. So if you switch character after defeating the boss with a character that had the menu open last, or you disable a controller after defeating a boss, you softlock. And that was so bad that they actually, in front of stores, video game stores and stuff in Japan, had signs that told people in Secret of Mana, after you defeat the boss, don't touch the controller, just wait. Otherwise you might softlock or something like that. I don't know exactly what they wrote there. But yeah, that happens. The thing is, one other thing that can happen, specifically in the US version, if you save at the Frosty Forest, next to at Nico, when you just land next to him, and then you save there and you try to load the save state normally, or the save game, not the save state, it crashes the game, because specifically there, the game has no save data. Also, by the way, it's a really small window to hit this guy before he hits you. That's just normal. But anyways, you have a tiny window. Where's the... Why do you walk to the right side, buddy? You have a tiny window to... And no. If you save there in the frost, in the ice country, and then it just walk... You know what? This is a mess. Let's reset. The chest there, by the way, disabled to spawn on the right side, so I would have to wait even longer until I was able to continue moving again for the rabbi to spawn, and I need him to spawn, and we already lost about half a minute this early on. Either way, Frost Country, Nico, if you land there with Flammy, save, you have a corrupted save file. Just doing that, landing there and saving. Because if you land with Flammy, the game does not have any information saved as to where you are. Normally it takes that information from the entrance value, but because you landed with Flammy, that entrance value is null. Nothing. When we try to load the game, it crashes. But in a speedrun, we actually have used that in order to safe warp into the beginning cutscene to get invisible characters. Greetings to you, Exter. Welcome. How are you doing? That's a pretty bad issue. Surprised it wasn't found in testing or something. Yeah. Secret of Mana has its fair share of problems. Right, I don't need a second controller yet. Also, I apologize for the hand cam being slightly off. I didn't have much time to set up and get stuff going. And I felt like that was good-ish enough. for now anyways. You can kind of see anyways what I'm doing, I think. Time to 2 control you one character, let's go. Right, let's try this. Also, by the way, you can moonwalk in this game. For the most part, it doesn't really do anything. It does have useful applications in fringe cases to just not change your facing direction. What you do is you hold the B button, and then you hold L or R. Either of those work. B plus L or B plus R. And what happens is you just don't change facing direction. Handcam is a nice touch. Thank you. Essentially, when I started speedrunning a bit more seriously for Secret of Mana, I figured, you know what, this is 1 player 2 controller. I would like to have people see what I'm doing. And so, well, I'm using a handcam for that now. You're afraid casting level 8 spells because the special versions would outright crash the game at random. That's the first time I've heard of that one, actually. I've never seen or heard of that, to be honest. So that's another kill there. By the way, if you get hit, you always get knocked in the opposite direction of where you're facing. That's 2 rabbis so far. Low damage rolls. By the way, 18 is a good roll, because then I can start swinging my weapon early. Holy cow, why did that guy not spawn? Alrighty, need to back up. 5, 6, 7. 8, 9, 10. Alrighty, this is already technically too many rabbits. It's a bit slow overall, but because I essentially already have the sword now to level 1 upgraded, it is still alright. Not particularly pretty, but it works. What else can you ask for? A nice cup of tea and a blanket, Blast Dragoon. The only crashes you had nothing to do with the game but power outages. You want to save Sleep Flower. Level 8 Exploder. To be fair, I don't think I used Exploder in my 100% run Sleep Flower. That's interesting. Yeah, I've never heard of that. You just remember Explode because you found it ironic that the spell exploded in your game. Oh my. Nice crit. Crits are so rare, and holy! Ah, that was the last hit too. That was amazing. 2 critical hits on the first boss. That's ridiculous. You remember as a kid, your sister fought her butt off, killing the Frost Gigas, and the game locked up right after the fight. Oh no. So it's actually possible for the game to lock up under very specific circumstances in the English version too, but it's a lot more specific than just switching character control. I don't actually know exactly how it works, but I've had one soft lock after defeating the Fire Gigas. Might be a Giga specific type of thing, I don't know. But it can definitely also still happen in the English version. But I think it's a lot more specific and rare for that matter, for that to happen, so not normally. Too bad I ended up missing that last swing on the Mantis Hunt. That was just kind of me being slightly off timing. You were wondering how long it would take to max out level before the first boss. We've actually tried to calculate that at some point. I believe what we came up with was like literal 5 years of gameplay straight up. If you played non-stop and stuff. Alright, I was just briefly charging up to check whether I actually did level up the button to level 1, and I did. You don't think it's possible? It is definitely technically possible, it's just going to take ages. I don't recommend you do that. To get 1 experience per rabbit, there's no other enemies before the first boss other than rabbits. And you need over 1 million experience, I think, total. I don't know exactly. It's a lot of experience you need in order to level up to the max level. Did the US version of Secret of Mana have any revisions? Not to my knowledge, no. The Japanese version on Virtual Console actually fixed that soft lock bug. Kind of like they fixed it for the English version. And I believe the English version is straight up the same version as you get on the cartridge for Secret of Mana. Which means the soft at the Frost country, Nico, is still locking up. A revision happened for an English version, specifically the PAL English version, which, well, it just runs slower because it's 50 frames per second instead of 60. But if you never played at 60 frames per second, you just don't necessarily notice that, and it's perfectly fine. But also, they did fix various glitches in the PAL version, such as the Frost country Nico, because you just straight up cannot land next to him anymore, it doesn't work. Yeah, it's reasonably easy to figure out how long it would take to max level before the first boss. Essentially, just figure out how many rabbits can you kill in the shortest amount of time while resetting the screens. Assuming you always one-shot the rabbits, because at some point you will one-shot the rabbits easily, and that will be sooner rather than later. And then you figure that out. No, frames come back! I need you. At least it was during the cutscene this time. By the way, you can reset this game by holding Start, Select L and R, which is nice. It also allows you to do a extended soft reset, which is used to do the save warping. Let's see whether we get into the Dwarven Village this time. Aw, low damage roll, really? That's unfortunate. Nice, that worked. So that is 3 enemy kills. Oh my goodness. I really don't like when the mushroom is just hiding behind the tree, because there's no way to tell where he actually is. You have no idea. And the mushroom is one of the most awkward enemies to kill, because he still takes 3 hits. Unless you get a low damage roll, then it's 4. Also, we have a chest drop here, I need to wait. Otherwise this rabbit here is not going to spawn. So, normally in Secret of Mana, you can have only 3 enemies on screen at any given point, or loaded for that matter. In that specific screen I was just in, the maximum is actually 2, because there's an actor always loaded. So it's a bit different than usual, I guess. How many rabbits are in the first room? It really depends on whether you just rush through the room or whether you try to make every single one spawn. Give me a second. I'm going to count them in my head once we have some cutscenes. One rabbit kill every 5 seconds. Sounds realistic. I think you can probably make it every 3 or even 4 seconds. If you are quick about it. By the way, the reason why we specifically sell, or quote-unquote sell, the Rabbite Cup icon, which it's technically an empty item slot I'm selecting, is because that is the last inventory slot I can access in my inventory, and if I were to create the corrupted item at the front of my inventory, well, my entire inventory would be messed up, and I could no longer select the last item in my inventory, and all the items would be shifted by one icon, like the barrel looks like a couple of bushes, the medical herb looks like a barrel, etc. Which would be less than ideal, because that's just not so great if you try to use a barrel and suddenly you crash the game, because it actually was a blood in this, or a corrupted item in disguise. Also 8 seconds lost for no reason other than, well, randomness. That just happens once in a while. Sometimes you get through these areas without them casting balloon at all, sometimes you don't. One balloon is okay. I tried to hit the skull switch here at the same time as I'm hitting the goblins, because this actually does not reset my stamina meter, which is really nice. Or, well, I don't have to recover my stamina from there. Nice, alrighty. We are past that guy. Okay, that's a bit unfortunate. We got a low damage roll at the end there for that goblin. Shouldn't hit me though. Oh, it did hit me then. We got him anyways. Basically, I just banked on getting high damage rolls on the last 2 hits as well, and that's why I ended up just opening the chest before he died. Sometimes you, or actually very often, you don't get hit after you get through that little "you acquired the magic rope" cutscene, or Xbox, I guess. Nice. Hitting that switch first try is really good. Also, in 1 player, 2 controllers, we do have infinite amounts of money, so we don't need to worry about money, so we go to left side first, which is slightly faster than going right side first. And yes, excuse me, Murad, I do know, we actually do have a Zero Mana Discord, and he posted it there, which is really awesome. So congratulations to Crow. Hey, there he is. That's awesome. Congratulations, Mr. Crow, for taking the glitchless record now to a pretty sizable lead, to say the least, and also that must have been a rather strong run overall. How much do you think can still be saved on the glitchless run dash? So here we buy some basic equipment for the boy. 1, 2 for the boy and the sprites, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Competition is great for speedrunning. Yes, actually, the nicest thing about speedrunning competition is it is rivalry. You want to be faster than the other guy, but it is friendly rivalry. You are happy when the other guy finally gets a good run in that they deserve, like Crow just kind of... Glitchless was not nice to him before that, and now finally he ended up getting a pretty decent run, to say the least. And I'm not sure, you probably want to keep going, I imagine. No need a blue dragon, please. The fish was just Crow's little pet. One year, 213 days of grinding rabbits. With how many seconds per rabbit kill was that? That is actually doable. I mean, if you just do that like 8 hours a day, which that's the most I would attribute to someone doing such a ridiculous thing. By the way, I just threw away my equipment set after equipping it earlier, and that allows me to have 8 of each items in my inventory, basically. That's the short version. It's not exactly how it works, but that's close enough. For this thing just a little bit. Alright, he spawned on the right side, which is nice. And this thing here. Alright, I got the timing right. Was that just a low damage roll at the very end there? Because if I didn't get any low damage rolls, I should have killed him. Alright. He's dead. That's a bit unfortunate with the low damage rolls, but that's okay. I should have kept on, because then I could have just used the normal swing for the last one there. Assuming you write 8 hours every day, that triples the real-time days, so 1,734 days for 4 years and 274 days. Come back, Frames, I need you! Oh. By the way, 17 minutes 40 seconds is still in the region of acceptable for Tropicala. Beyond that, I actually have no clue for the time for Spiky Tiger and such. What is acceptable, what isn't. I just only memorized Tropicala. Great to see you, Sonny boys. Welcome. How are you doing? Oh, I should have equipped the sprite's weapon already now. I forgot. Slightly more efficient to do this now. So, I'm about ready to set up my second controller here. For 5 years with no wait. Yeah, have fun with that. You're tired, so expect silent lurking, I see. Enjoy the lurk, feel free to lean back, relax and... Oh. Hope you get some rest. So, I need to equip the spear here. Equip that. So, I unselected the sprite before I went back outside here, because, well, that's kind of what you do. Also, I think I only need to kill a total of 2 enemies. That's 1. Come on, Spritey, don't do that right now. I need to get the record here. Sprite, stop it! You can see I'm by far not as practiced anymore as I should be. So, I need to kill 1 enemy here. Also, that's the wrong character to do this with. It should still save me a little bit of time interacting with the cannon travel guy with the second controller here. That's right. So we actually skip getting the lady early. The way you do this is you have a level 1 sword, and you hit the rope pole at a particular timing after releasing the level 1 sword charge, which actually brings you into the wall just a little bit, because hitting a rope pole allows you to walk through walls for a short while. Normally the game doesn't allow you to walk, but a level 1 sword charge just kind of moves you forward anyways. So I'm going to do this here. Start charging up the weapon with the boy. Actually retain the overcharge with the boy. And then we do this. Have the sprite immediately start targeting this guy here. might make him lure him over to the left corner. That way he stays far enough away the sprite will actually be able to move over to him and we run through the wall. So AI control characters can just target enemies and you can hit rope pulls afterwards and they run just straight up through the wall. I don't know why AI control targeting can do that, but I'm okay with it. Also, you just saw me there doing a left movement. That is the easy way to get past dash. Oh, I was too slow with this. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to have him spawn the bow rat. Those little chopping hurts. So the mushroom wouldn't spawn. What? Oh, shoot. I messed that up. Come on, spawn, please. I accidentally walked onto the little switch again, which is no good. Alrighty, that is 2.5 plus... 5 kills. Oh. That's so awkward. Trying to get past them really quickly is a bit of a gamble. Okay, we need 5 more kills actually in order to level up the sword to level 1. Level 2, excuse me. Did I kill 2 enemies with the sword? Actually, I think I might have only killed 1. So that's a little bit of a problem. Might have only killed 1. Really? 2 critical hits? That's incredibly lucky, because 1 critical hit wouldn't really do anything for me, but 2 at the same time actually saved me all the time that I just lost, because I missed my input dash. Oh, I'm a little bit rusty after all. What? You're not supposed to complete dash. I think I was supposed to barrel the sprite, kind of missed that opportunity. I might have accidentally just figured out a quicker strategy for the spiky tiger here. That actually saves a menu. I'm not sure that's worth it because this spiky actually got hit and delayed his move. Alrighty. That's quite the deficit at this point already. But I'm just going to keep going. If I reset now, I'm not going to get practice in the next sections of the game, and we'll probably do more than 1 run today, hopefully anyways. In yesterday's sound, you accidentally put the boy on approach/attack position instead of retreat/attack, and I thought he was a lot less aggressive that way. I think that's good, right? And Stixit only did the Secret of Mana remake, so it'll be on that when it releases. Nice, that's amazing. That's going to be awesome. Looking forward to exploring that with you, or alongside you. That's kind of less run to the game. Also, I messed that up. I needed to talk with the lady with the second controller. What was that? What I did there is an overcharge glitch. Overcharge glitch essentially allows me to charge up my weapon way beyond the normal maximum charge level. And with that I can essentially unleash a charge level 70 or 80, which deals pretty much max damage to the boss, and Spiky Tiger doesn't have enough HP to survive that. So because we have an overcharge glitch that also works on the Mana Beast, we don't have to worry about secondary weapon levels at all. Not entirely sure I have this right in the lead right now. I guess that just kind of worked out this way, so that means I'm going to hit this thing and run past with the boy in order to ignore those enemies. I should restart the bot sometime. Alright, the boy was actually supposed to do that. Many there. There we go. That was both unfortunate timing on my end. And other things. Alrighty, let me restart the bot real quick in that case. I really don't think it's because the bot has been running since a while. I really think this is more because my connection is just really wonky right now, which really doesn't exactly help. Hey, Heidermuller, thank you, what a good luck. Oh, no! I'm a derp. This is why I should just do a full run without resets. Basically a T-Rust run. There's so many little things that I just kind of only remember just half a second before I need to do them. And that's not enough of a reaction time for me sometimes. I just realized, wait, I shouldn't unselect the boy, no! I need to keep him there. Nice thing is, because we do have decent equipment for the early game, we don't have to worry about the weak enemies actually hitting us, we can just walk past them. Even if they were to attack us and technically hit us, we don't take any damage since we have too much armor. Sorry, we were unable to connect to chat. Reconnecting in 2 seconds. Alrighty, I'm back. Yeah, I'm pretty sure my connection is really wonky. Whether it's Twitch or my connection specifically, I don't know. We'll see. So next up is Fire Gigas. That beat didn't even display any damage number, it just started flying higher up in the air. That's so weird. I don't even hit those goblins. With 2 characters you can just run past without getting hit at all. Which is really convenient. You are not supposed to spawn. Thankfully the sprite has just enough armor to normally not get damaged. Sometimes the sprite actually takes a little bit of damage, so that delays him a bit. Or was that the lady? Might have been the lady. The boy is on the items menu, I don't want to move him away from that. Ah, there it is. It is the sprite. Sometimes he does get hit by those slimes. Wasn't too bad this time around. Bit unfortunate, but alright. Alrighty, moving on. Alrighty, so the strategy is here at a very specific timing to work on this guy. This should still work. Oh wow, that was a low damage roll and it didn't actually kill him in the end. I won't be able to retain this charge attack until he reappears. Alrighty, we got him anyways. Apparently my personal best had a lot of trouble with the fire gigas too, despite me not being particularly, well, lucky there. That was actually not even my own fault in this case. I got a low damage roll and that is just enough to kill the fire gigas there. And I got lucky that I managed to just hit him, otherwise his run would have been over. But yeah, apparently my personal best lost about a minute. Maybe more like 50 seconds on the fire gigas there. That is interesting. Also, I made a mistake just now, I just realized. No, actually I didn't. Technically speaking, I didn't have a choice. Because the sprite was dead. So what I want to do is the same deal as with Undini. Run into this cutscene trigger here while the magic rope cutscene is playing. Saves you a little bit of time. But I couldn't because the sprite was dead before I defeated the fire gigas. Also, we can't use the magic rope to get back outside, because it will just transport us at the to the entrance of the Earth Temple just now, where it came from, so we have to walk. So, just running through the Pandora fields. This is actually only faster if you have a really good pathing through the Pandora fields here. Without much delay at all. And human players should not even attempt this necessarily. I'm just doing this because I actually forgot whether I should be doing that thing now, running through the Pandora fields, or later. As in, I literally forgot, so I just decided to do it now, because worst case scenario, I just need to play really well to gain a bit of time. 2 minutes 33. I'm curious how that would have looked if I took the cannon travel. Oops. I guess it's possible I just saved a little bit of time by running through the Pandora fields instead of taking the cannon travel. Cannon travel is just a lot more consistent. It's not dangerous to run through the Pandora fields, but there's so many enemies, so many variables in the way that it can just be a nightmare to do well consistently. Although at this point, maybe I should be able to figure out a better strategy than what I have so far. I don't think I've ever really bothered to figure out a good strategy to run through the Pandora fields. So, running up left against that wall, this spawns, or avoid spawning a tomato man at the top of that area. Oh, well, that works too. I actually wanted to have this slightly different. Instead of the boy attacking that guy, I wanted the ghoul, or zombie, I guess, to attack the sprite upwards, which is a strategy I just recently discovered. during the other challenge runs, so that might actually save a little bit of time. Not too bad other than that. Slightly slow in certain edges and corners, but not a bad run through the ruins. Let's see how well we'll do. So, by the way, Wallface here is the first boss that has evasion rating, which means 40% of the time I just straight up miss, and there's nothing I can do about that. I messed that up. I don't know which charge attack this is. Holy cow, I got lucky there. Well, it looks like this kind of worked out overall. I had no idea which charge attack that was in the end there. I just hoped it would hit the middle eye, and it did. Because I missed my window for the charge attack that I usually take. So that was a bit awkward, but it worked. Good evening, Hoppy. Welcome. How are you doing? Oops, come on. You're fine? That sounds nice. So now we are supposed to run through the Pandora Fields. But I'm pretty sure me just running through the Pandora Fields earlier actually saved some time. Maybe I should continue doing that. But this speedrun I actually end up practicing. I'm not sure this is the best way to run through this area here, but it does work out reasonably well, generally speaking. I deliberately walk a little bit higher up than usual because that flower spot, wow, that is highly unusual by the way, that we get sleep flowered by those early enemies. They do that so rarely. It's really uncommon for the sleep flowers to, for the lullabots to cast sleep flower. Well, minor time loss just because I had to use a medical herb to get rid of that immediately. And hey T-Potion, welcome back. How have the attempts been? Well, this one doesn't look too bad overall. The early game could definitely be a fair bit better. We lost about a minute, but we managed to crawl back a little bit here. Which also means I could be a minute ahead at this point easily. Not necessarily. About 50 seconds ahead. Not necessarily easily, but it would be a possibility. So my burst segment here is 3 minutes 17 seconds. I don't think I can even reach this with a one shot right now. Kilroy actually has a bit less than a 50% chance to die in one hit. Because he both has evasion of 40% and also about a 20% chance to, even if I hit, I get a low damage roll. And I keep moving the mouse with my elbow here, which is less than ideal. Nice. Didn't get any white up skip so far. So one thing I really like about Secret of Mana as a speedrun, it's essentially a boss rush. Once you're comfortable enough with the game, you have pretty much no reason to ever heal in between areas anymore, it's just not necessary. The way you heal is by killing another boss, and that's how that works. So now we go and defeat the Chaparrocky, same deal as with the Kilroy, slightly less than 50% chance to one-shot him. The one special thing that is always notable about Chaparrocky is that his hitbox is really weird. Like, really weird. It's way lower than you would expect it to be, plus, in boss battles already, your weapon range, your melee weapon range specifically, is actually doubled. So it's easy to hit bosses from further away. So we basically win-slash that poor Jabberwocky by standing way too far away when still hitting him. Is it really a boss rush if you're new to the game? A little bit. That was always one of my favorite aspects as a kid as well, that it had so many bosses, it's so awesome. So here I'm actually working with two controllers simultaneously. And that allows me to just run up here. Now, this is something I learned thanks to Goof Troop. I can run with both controllers simultaneously here, which avoids me getting hit by that Hagen entirely. Also, it's kind of important that I step onto this switch with the boy, because I can't properly mash through text boxes on the second controller. Except for Howlers. Yeah. Howlers are meanies. And I messed that up. That was my own mistake, actually. And we have one miss so far. This is two misses. Three misses, four misses, I believe. 5 misses. The sprite actually hits. Rip. And Jabberwocky didn't want to cooperate, and we die. We missed about at least 4 times there. So whenever you are getting up from after you get knocked down to the floor, you do another attack, and that attack is equivalent to the current charge level I have, so it would have one-shot Jabberwocky as well, but unfortunately all of those attacks missed too. The thing is, I actually missed my proper charge attack, so I didn't have a quick attack range, which prevented me from being able to hit the first possibility in the first place, so that can happen. And if Jabberwocky decides to just acid rain you, the boy survives it with full HP. The sprite never survives it at that point, because it's supposed to hit 3 characters, but you only have 2, so it deals more damage with those 2. Alrighty, please suggest a letter we should be using for this next run here. I'm going to take a very short break, just stretch, stand up and run around, walk around for a little bit. We need a letter for the boy, just one. We are not going to go for more than one, so be right back. House of Darkness is confusing? It is, actually. The main gate that you open, that doesn't really have anything in it. Be right back. Alrighty, I'm back. So we have a B, we have an R, we have an H, we have a G, we have a Q, we have an X, we have an R, we have a W. I think we have 2 R so far. I think we are going to go with R in that case. Let me actually see how many frames I dropped so far. Alright, that's less than ideal. 1% of my broadcast is just being cut right now. I don't think there's much I can do about that though. Oh well. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, let us continue. Also, something I haven't done yet, really. Welcome to the Secret Mana Challenge Gauntlet, where we have a different type of challenge run every day, except for after I do the 100% run, then I'm going to take a break for another day, because that's going to be a long one. So far we had a glitchless speedrun record attempts, we have no items from vendors, glitchless run, glitchless hard mode hack speedrun, which took about, well, run really, not much of a speedrun. Took 13.5 hours. Legend of Mana, 12-hour challenge speedrun learning. We have had glitchless backwards controller. We had a Secret of Mana 2 or Sagnetsetsu 3 lower percent speedrun where I just explained the story as we ran through it. Then we had a 2-controller record attempt today. If you'd like to influence as to what challenge is going to be next, we have a straw poll for that, with which you can see what the next challenge is potentially going to be, and also vote for it, whichever one you would like to see. Comeback frames. Oh, this is so annoying. The main reason why we do this Secret of Mana Challenge Gauntlet is because, well, this is an amazing little gem of a game. A lot of us have fond memories, just kind of playing this ourselves back in the day with our friends, some people with co-op. Some people haven't even get 3-player co-op because they had a multi-tab and some friends to just play with. It's a story, it's an adventure that you can just journey through the entire game and have a good time with overall. And that's one of the main features to play this co-op with other people. It's pretty amazing actually. And well, I do have such memories myself. There's going to be a remake on the February the 15th, that is in just about 8 days from now. There's going to be a remake released. We will be playing this as soon as it comes out. How good the remake is going to be, we have no idea. We hope it's going to be really, really good. We hope it's going to be amazing. But skeptical, but optimistic in the end we are. However, regardless of the remake being good or not, we still have this old gem of a game for the Super Nintendo. It is the same as it was back then. It, in comparison to other games, may not have aged quite as well, like Chrono Trigger or Final Fantasy VI, I dare to say, have aged slightly better. But it's still really, really awesome and my favorite game of all time, so... We have 2 weeks of different Secret of Mana challenges and special challenges on all those kinds of things. And today is 1-player 2-controller record attempts, with which I completely forgot that the Fire Gigas apparently I lost about 50 seconds in that split, so we can do that better. Well, let's see, I need to kill some rabbits to level up the sword a little bit here. That's unfortunate that I ended up just standing slightly too high. Alrighty, we restart this. I need to kill rabbits quickly, otherwise I lose way too much time overall. This is the run, you can feel it. You mean this is the run, right? Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to real quick reset the Twitch thingy, because maybe with a different server it will work better. Because right now I'm dropping 2000 frames. What is going on? Give me a second. Be right back. We are restarting the stream here.